Okay, Steen, let's jump right on into it. I wanted you to read. There's a bunch of stuff um, in the email about what the system can do, and I know you can read all that separately, and hopefully make this video a little shorter if I don't go back through all that. But I want to thank you for helping me out with this. I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff, and if it helps, and then I'm certainly glad to do it. Yeah, read through. I think it's important to understand before we get started what all it's capable of. That way you're not coming in to think it can do just one thing and miss out on a lot of the other stuff. But my goal of creating this was to be able to run an archery club without using spreadsheets. Now, it's a little different than some of the other systems that we've tried or seen in the past, which really focused on tournament scoring, and can I use an iPad for instead of putting numbers down on a sheet. Didn't really go there. It does do tournament scoring, but at this time, they're still working on sheets, it's still handing in scores. It does compile scores right away. That is one thing it does, but it's very different in the goal of it. It's really made around club management, leading into scheduling and practice scores and merit classes for the JOAD and all that. It focused in on that, and tournaments as well. But we'll get there. So for this session, I'm not even going to go into running a home tournament because we got some time. Don't want to get too much information right away. And also, Crowfoot will be doing their tournament first, so you can stop over whenever your line is that you're coming to, and we can go through some things there. I'll plan on doing another video, but let's jump right into it. So the thing runs pretty light. You just need. I've been using Google Chrome a lot, and first you start out just by WPA JOAD. I really didn't know what to do. Western PA. I don't know. It could have been anything, but that's where it is right now. But before I get to that, a little bit about why did I do it? When I was a kid, it's like I had a trucking company, and I'd stay up nights from when I was 17 and 19 and write software, and that's what convinced me to go into that line of profession. And then in time, a lot of that work went overseas, and you get away from it. But that was really what I love to do, so I became more of a project manager. But in the back of my mind, I always kept projects like this going. That love of archery, and I've been looking for something else. I mean, if this takes off, and it is an archery system, it got FIDA in there. It can do the 3 Rivers Classic shoot, so it would have to build it out for other types of scoring. Right now, it's just doing 600 round, but it's flexible, it's table driven, where you could build out other methods of scoring. But we're just a couple years into it. I started this out in spreadsheet mode when I first started scorekeeping many years ago, and then I wrote it in Microsoft Access, and then I started writing the system once in a system called DataFlex, but then the USA Archery announced, we're giving you this free system, and it does tournament system, and that was a failure. In fact, I think they just shut it down last year, and so I went back into it, and this is probably a couple hundred hours now that I got into it, and just loving it. But okay. So right now everything is kind of set up for you. You see, this is if you were coming not logged in at all. Let me tell you a little bit about what it can do. Even for this is a good place to tell your parents, hey, come in and go to WPAJOAD.com, and then you see a couple things here. There's a tournament scheduled by Archer, and there's a tournament scheduled by Tournament. So what that tells you is it's looking at the forward schedule 2 different ways. It's one, and I'll show you, I'm going to use NSSA as my example. I got a few test archers in there. You can see they have fake names. But if you look at by the archer, anybody could come in, and it just shows the first name. Their first name is NSSA test, and their last name is Archer. So it does obfuscate the last name by just giving the last initial. I just didn't want the kid's full name to appear in any searches, anything like that. So it's the same way with scoring. Now I do that. If it's a public link, then I just don't give the last name. So you can see in here, what is their schedule. And I did put some preferences of these tests, and I even confirmed one for the Crowfoot JOAD. But we'll go into a lot of that in scheduling. And of course, the other way to look at it is by tournament. So, all the tournaments are already in the system. And I took the test archer and I put them in. And so this breaks it down by tournament. If you want to know, like coaches, which kids from NSSA are shooting at each tournament as you go down there, and there's a similar view inside of the system once you log in, which will also give you last names, of course, because you're logged in. But that's something that pass out to parents. They like it. And then down here is a place where we can, I did this for both of our tournaments last year, especially the Three Rivers Classic, got a lot of good reviews on it. But you have the ability to, again, first name, last initial, and as you enter the scores as they walk off, and you get these in, it does this, right away. So if they want to, if they shoot at the 8:30 line and they log in, at 3 o'clock to see the last 2 lines, they'll appear here. So that's what's available publicly. Now let's jump in and log in. I'm going to send you separately each a user ID. It's going to require you to change the password. In fact, I've been using them to kind of shake it out. We've been using this as one club so far as Crowfoot, but I always kept, from the beginning I built it out thinking that we'd want many clubs to use this. So if you hit login, I have NSSA admin pre-filled already because of my browser history. So, there's a lot of places here that need cleaned up, but I'm looking forward to getting your feedback on how to clean up. But, I've been doing a lot of work last week or two on getting logos in and customize the title, and still a long way to go. It's pretty simple, but it's also very light. The last year we didn't even have internet in our club, and it would, it's pretty light, and I was able to run it off of a hotspot. So it's not, it can add a lot more fluff to it, but I'm kind of concerned, about clubs that may be doing the same thing, maybe running their phone as a hotspot. Anyway, so let's go home. What you get is, this is something that, has been evolving and may evolve even more, is there is a home page, a dashboard, and go to the different things. There is the ability to go to any of the dashboards here, and the settings right now are log in, log out. I got some other things planned there, or hopeful. But the first one is just to log in, your username. So especially if you have multiple user IDs, if you have an admin, there's also the ability to do Archer logins that we're just starting to play around with. So you can have more than one user ID. But down here, your current club is always going to be your club. I do have the ability to log in as admin if you need help, and I'll go in and go into your club and help you with what you need. The archer is who was the archer you were last working on. The tournament is what was the last tournament you were looking at, and it does hold these from session to session. There's also a series thing down here, which, right now it just says Shooter of the Year 1819. I know another club is doing that, but I started doing a double check. I built it out last year, and I do have the 1920 built out, and but there's no scores yet. So once we get those scores in, I'll change that over. So there's the main dashboard, and I'm working on a few custom views too, but nothing too. So let's go where you would go. We're just starting a season, so what do you need to do right away? I had a little blip with the video there, so I had to edit, but let's go into current club, see what we got. So you'll see a little bit of statistics right up the top. We did have FIDA shooters going to Crowfoot last year. I think for the time being, I've just filtered them out, concentrate on JOAD. It does have that ability to run the adult tournament, one thing at a time though. So I'll start near the bottom first. One thing you want to do is like, hey, who's in my club? So you'll see your entire list here of who's in your club. A lot of my screens have about the same thing up here. They have like shortcuts, filters, and some of them have sorts, which will apply. And the shortcuts are just where might you commonly want to go next. And I'm always open for suggestions. But in the case of a filter, here's a real simple one. I just want to see people last name beginning with C, and you can also clear it out and do that. But if you edit, let's look at one of my test archers I did here. You'll see like the organizations. That's where I started building out things like FIDA, and if you want to do other leagues, whatever. But it'll default to JOAD. Just leave it there. The age class overrides something that you use. But you see the normal fields. One thing that is important here and is required is that the birth year do have a place for birthday and a birth year. A lot of the clubs haven't given a full birthday, so the birth year is important because it calculates the age class. The thing about families, there is the ability to group into families. It helps with things like registration or maybe do your fees for by family. There is the ability to add, like here it's just going to show you in the drop down any families that you set up within your club. The add is real simple. What's the name of the club? What's the family name? Just trying to keep things real simple. And you know, if I just wanted to make a quick change just to see it work, you do that, you get a little message. And then it comes back to the Archer list. The thing with the select is if you want to make them the current one, go work on whatever you want to their merit, see their scores, show them something, you got that. So let's talk about how to add one. It's real simple, it's the same. And you get, since I'm in Chrome, you get a lot of help, whether you want it or not. And we'll just put them right back in the same family. I always use my own birthday, but with a newer year, 2008. Gender unknown won't totally crash it, but let's put them in the Archer family. Recurve bow, 40 centimeters. It's good to put them in initial merit just because then it will calculate the score needed for the next merit class. And USA archery number is not required, but sure, why not? I did make the ability to set up archers in other clubs. I think that I might have, you can. What that will help you do is if somebody shows up from another club that maybe they didn't have and they want to come to the tournament, if they're not in the system, you need a way to set them up. So there's a lot of weird cases like that we have to watch out for, and you've probably seen it in your other ones. So now we will have a NSSA Archer 3. The club information, probably won't need to ever update that, but one of the things that is good is like it tells you, what's the payment schedule for it, and just some different things that appear on the screens. The club name could be something different if you wanted it to appear on reports, but otherwise something you would never touch. The ability is there. So let's talk about scores. One of the other things I said you're going to need to do right away is get scores. Now if you do view scores here, you get to see alphabetically all your archers, and here's where the magic happens. So I've been importing scores over the last year, maybe a little bit in 2018, but you'll see some familiar things here with the merit jumps. It will detect the merit jumps on that, and we'll get into merit here in a minute. But I did do some other practice tests here, and you see all that appear. So you see practice and all the imported scores. It changes colors. So it's still kind of rough, but it's working really well. I know Anadar Club's using it, or just started to. So let's go back to the club dashboard and talk about adding scores. So here's the ability, thinking that you're usually getting a group of scores for either practice night or something all at one time. So let's say for our new guy, NSSA Test 3 Archer, we have a practice tonight. We'll just call it practice. There is, we wouldn't want in-system tournaments, but for as far as external tournaments, something I run out there, you might want to put in a real tournament, maybe a national tournament, something crazy like that. I will be importing the local tournaments, so no reason to put that in there. But you'll see that, the default is JOAD indoor jump at 30, so we know that they're going to jump at a score of 30. So they miss it there, and then we got 40 this time, and it's like first practice. So you enter all that, and you see the merit classes and the colors. So you could do all these people. You could add. Let's put in one. This one says jump at 100. We'll say we missed that, and just add scores and try not to take too much time here. All right. So it would come back here if you wanted to do more scores, but I think that's enough for right now. And what happened is we should see view and approved merits. Now, what just happened is we put in this test scores, and we put in one that said that this NSA Test 3 Archer should get a merit increase. So it's saying the old merit was green. It's jumping to purple on this score. First practice, you see the details we just put in. There's a 2-level thing here. What you could do in this first step is if it was a mistake, you could delete that request for the merit jump. But once you approve it, what happens is that it will change it on their Archer record. Not only that, but if they're registered for tournaments in this system, it will change the merit class on all the future tournaments. In this case, we'll approve it. And then if you approve it, there's a little reminder here. It says awarded. That reminds you to actually get the physical pin in. It's like, oh, did I really give them the little thing for the lanyard? Once you do, you hit that, it goes away. And it still appears in the history. So let me see what else I got here. All right, I think that's it for club dashboard. There is I showed you the club and tournament schedule, and that other one. The only difference here is going to be that you're going to see last names. So it's pretty much, and you have the headers with the menus and all that. It's pretty much the same with that. The fees, real quick. This is a part that's brand new. You can use it. It doesn't mess up any other part. But let's say that the NSSA Archer family. Okay, so we're going to charge them a $5 annual fee, really cheap. Do that, and we're going to send it to the Archer family. And then we can go back to the club dashboard and list and pay. You only have one. You could delete it if it was a mistake or don't. Otherwise, you can edit and pay, market paid, amount paid. Maybe they paid $2 instead of $5. And today, and send it on its way. So it's paid. All right, so let's go back to, I think I got done with everything on the club dashboard. Now, if we go back home, and there's multiple ways to go there, we can go, you can see it made it, when I added the new Archer, it made them current. If you hit select, what will happen is you get a whole list of your Archers in your club. You can make someone else. Let's go right in here. You can see, I should have put in 2 scores to see a history, but you will get a chart up here with their score history. And it has the view scores, add scores, just like the other one. It works I think almost exactly the same as the club dashboard. All right. So the club tournament schedule, Archer tournament schedule, same as the club dashboard. It's just, a lot of the different buttons do the same thing. You can update the Archer information, which is the same screen I showed you, or add a new one. Just multiple ways to do the same thing. They all work exactly the same. But now you've had the ability to set up Archers, all this, add test scores, a little bit of the merit system. Now let's talk about tournament registration. And in particular, what you're going to have to do pretty early in the season is schedule for away tournaments. So here's what we have, it'll take the current Archer, and it will show you all the future tournaments. And what happens, there can appear a few different ways. Let me check 3. Let me check Crowfoot. Let me check your home tournament, and let me check Clareton. So you do have the ability and again, it's going to default to JOAD, which is what we're going to do. If there was a feed available, you'd be able to do it. But it knows what the times are, and you can do your time preferences. There's really this is just disclosure. There's really no edits on this. Just, you're just disclosing time preference to the other club or for whatever the kids' time preferences are. Now you'll notice that one of these doesn't have the drop down, and the other 2 do. So there's a few different kinds of tournaments. There's tournaments run in the system, and then there's tournaments run outside. I'm not expecting Clareton to run theirs in the system, so you have the ability to confirm the time. When they send back the score sheet, and they say, hey, your confirmed time for NSSA Test 3 Archer is such and such time, you can put it in there. You have the ability. Now, for my JOAD, I will be confirming the time. When I put that in there, when I grant you the time for NSSA Archer, it will just appear there. When next time you go into any of the schedules, it'll just show. And then this one gives you the ability to do it because it's your tournament. It's NSSA JOAD. So you're the host club on that one, and you hit this, and off it goes, and it comes back to where it was. Now, important for scheduling is when you want to, and this is something that Chris at our club made me do, you want the ability to go and look at different Archers. So different Archers in your club will appear here. You can bring them up, and it'll go to them, same screen, in the check, uncheck. You can, if you go into the edit screen, you can take away the registration here. There's also the ability to go. There is a difference between the archer record and the tournament record. So let's say if they usually shoot a recurve, or maybe the club got it wrong and they're really on a compound, you can change it here. It'll leave their personal record alone and just change the registration for your tournament. And so you do that, and it comes back here. It's interesting. It went over to a different one when I for the tournament, but I can flip over between the tournament view, in which case this is your own tournament, so you see the entire JOAD population here, which is interesting because if you're registering for your tournament, you might have people coming in from Charleroi, and you have to register them. But if you look at, let's say, look at Clareton, you see the one registration for, but now you see the ability Clareton JOAD 2020 tournament, and you can register just your kids. I'll delete these out before I turn this over to you, and that way, I'll take out all these registrations so you get a nice clean slate, and these few test archers so you're clean. So that, in a nutshell, is tournament registration. Now, where does that lead? Well, we'll go back to the home screen. Let me see. I'm just checking my notes. So now you can go to where you want to go to the tournament dashboard. So let's say that we're on Clareton. It's a good one. One of the clubs, Clareton, sends out the hey, we're registering for a tournament. It's open. So if you've been capturing, you see the requested totals. Nothing's confirmed yet. But if you've been capturing your registration for the kids, their time preferences will already be here, and you can come in and say, well, all right, they want our schedule, let's export the scheduling spreadsheet. And what it'll do is it'll drop it down here, just waiting for it to finish. And this is the sheet, and I'll edit it for Randy's newest requirements, but you can send this to them and say, here's our registration for your tournament. What will happen next is that they will send you back, and you see that confirm time, that was just an edit, but they'll send you, that was the one we put in there as a test. They'll send you back the confirmed times, and you can come back in and fill them here and make sure that the archer schedule is good. So that's the difference here. These are time preferences, and this is the confirmed times. All right. So let me check my notes. And you'll notice on the tournament dashboard, if you select a different one, you'll get different buttons for different types, because Clareton is that type of tournament. Let's look at, if you're at NSSA and you look at Crowfoot, well, you get a few more buttons. You can see the tournament roster, and you could see the scoring. This would be the same thing as I show when the tournament's going on, is see the score, the current scoring, or it may be displayed on the home page too. Then let's look at and where this is going to go, and what you guys are interested in later is, what about my own tournament? And then you get all these buttons. So, what's the registration? There's a tool to help you with lane assignment. And I'm not going to go into these now, but they're there. Pre-printed score sheets. I'll bring that one up just to show you. Now, if you got to have somebody who's pretty good at centering things on printers, whatever, if you're good at it, you print it right from here. It's going to give you the pre-printed score sheets ready to go. All right, so let's close that out. So I tried to work it from left to right, how you would score a tournament. Extra blank score sheets. Tournament day check-in is really cool. It'll help you get checked in, know who you're waiting on, and then, of course, entering the scores. So these are all very custom. You're not hunting and pecking all over a spreadsheet, trying to put things here and there. There's the ability to get it down to just the line you're looking at, sort it by first name, last name, lane, whatever. It's all there, but that's a different session yet to come. Okay, so I tore through that real quick. If you do want to look at the shooter of the year, like this was the shooter of the year from last year. Like I said, I'll build it out for the new year. And that's a lot, I know, but you think about all the spreadsheets and such that we do right now, and this is extremely powerful. And we're gonna find some glitches in it and say, well, we should be able to do this, shouldn't be able to do that. So it's getting better, and I'm open for future enhancements. And the other thing is, I want to start Yeah, it is an archery system. It's there in the background. There's a lot of tables. It's very table driven, so it's not tied into like the 600 round format. It has the ability to be very flexible. So if you have any other interest, people that might want to run a weekly league or a different type of tournament other than a 600 and outdoor, it's ready to go. So I'll stop there, and I bet you I hope I'm not over 20, 25 minutes, but we'll see. Thank you. I look forward to visiting your clubs and working with you.